numbers. This is actually 6.2D. These numbers need to be put in order from least to greatest. I mean, smallest to the biggest. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert all of them to a percent. So I'm comparing whole numbers. Even though they're going to be equivalent, I'm just putting them all in percent. So the first one says 15 hundredths or 0.15. I would like to convert that to a percent, and percent is out of 100. So what I have to do is multiply 0.15 times 100, and the way I show it is by moving 2 to the right. So this actually becomes 4%. I don't have to do anything to the second one. The third one is a fraction, and so what I'm going to do is set up a proportion. This is not the only way to do it. This is just my preferred. You could divide, convert it to a decimal, and then go to a percent. There's nothing wrong with that. How many 25s to make 100? That would be 4, so we'd multiply this by 4. And we're also going to multiply -4 by 4. The 4 is actually your scale factor. So this is 16%. Not -16 over 100, just -16%. The next one is -0.2 or -2/10. And since this is a decimal and all I have to do is multiply it by 100, I show it by moving 2 to the right. I end up with -20%. I have a fraction, so I could divide or I could set up a proportion. Percent is out of 100. 10 becomes 100 by 10, multiplying it by 10. I'm also going to multiply 1 by 10, which will give me 10%. So now I have 10%, -20%, -16%, 4%, and 15%. So when I put them in order, I'm going to put them back in the original form that they were in. I only converted to percent, so I'm comparing whole numbers. My only two negatives are -16 and -20. -16 is closer to 0 than -20, so that says -16 is bigger. Therefore, -20% is smaller. So there really wasn't a 20%, it was -2/10. So that's what I'm going to write first. Scratch that out. My next one's going to be -4 over 25. Now I'm left with 15%, 4%, and 10%. So I know 4% is the smaller out of the three. So that's 4%. The next one would be 10%, so I'm going to write 1 over 10. And lastly, my largest is 15%, so I'm going to write 0.15 or 1500. So hopefully this helps you get a better understanding of ordering rational numbers.